This week on the podcast, we're replaying part of an interview Chris and Jared had with Kayla Haddis, owner of Pacific Coast Therapy. This portion of the conversation was really interesting as it talks about what it's like to become the person that people look to for the answers. It's a topic that's helpful for anyone, no matter where they are in their career path. Maybe you are a new manager and it feels strange to be the one people are looking to. Or maybe you've been doing things for a while, but you have been so close to it that you haven't stepped back to see how far you've come. The conversation is also helpful because it gives some perspective as to how people in other industries create their own experiences and connections in something that isn't a cafe. All right, here's Chris and Jared chatting with Kayla. Enjoy.
You don't have to.
Or wait.
Have
Anyway,
a crooked neck.
you've done it. I actually haven't done it. I'm making it up.
You have a little rest.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway, we're here with my friend Kayla.
Anyway, who are we talking to, everyone? What's happening and why are we here today?
Licensed marriage and family therapist.
There you go.
Holy
LMFT.
You got it. That's it.
Proud owner of a brand new practice. You just started a
Congrats.
practice.
Thank you. Pacific Coast Therapy.
Holy
Yep.
smokes.
I know. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's such a big deal.
It's really exciting. Yeah. And it's, this is like my baby, right?
What is it?
It's a business.
Mhm.
It is a
And
business.
now I'm in the business of being a business owner. Yeah.
Okay, so many things to unpack here.
Business
I
owner
just saw
slash
your
mental health
face
professional.
and your eyes just
I saw two paths in my mind. I saw the marriage and family therapist path, and
Yeah.
then I saw the business owner
yeah.
path.
Yeah.
And you were asking me on the way over here, what are we like? What?
Yeah. What do you
How do you want
want?
to play this?
What do you want from me?
What do you want from me? I kind of asked him that.
Why
Yeah.
have you called
Well,
me
the
here?
two roads have diverged in our carport.
Well, but it's actually kind of fitting because I've been listening to your podcast, and those are the roads that you cover. Like the paths that you cover is a lot of mental health and a lot of like leadership and how to support others and how to build people up, but then also like how to run a business. And so
Perfect.
Well, how
you know,
long? have you
I'm at
been-
that intersection.
How long have you been doing the therapy side of things?
The therapy since
'Cause you've been practicing-
2015.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
a long road.
So we met when we were setting up Cat and Cloud, and I worked part-time at the bake shop, and you worked next door at the whatever it was.
Yeah, I was an esthetician in
Yeah.
a past life.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. I feel like we were both working on building the things.
That was a long time ago.
yeah.
2015. That was like 7 years ago.
Was it?
Years ago.
I mean, if you just do the normal math, basically, we're in 6, which will be
Just do the
7
normal
shortly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
And
Cat and
but
Cloud
we didn't really know each other.
No.
And
not at all.
then flash forward years later, our dogs found each other
Yep.
at
At
the dog
Frederick
park.
Street.
We're talking actual dogs too, not
Actual
just friends.
dogs.
Just kidding.
No, actual dogs.
You and Zach, your husband, have been mentioned on the podcast a couple times, and you're affectionately known as my quote-unquote dog park friends.
It's true.
So here are the dog
It's really
park friends.
great. Or the dog park friends. I mean, but yeah, Chino and Murphy,
They're BFF
they're
for sure.
BFFs. And Murphy knows if we say we're gonna go see Chino, he like loses
They
his
know
mind.
that. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
actually
Gino
funny.
for sure knows Murphy's name.
Oh, yeah, they
you
know
want to go
it.
see Murph, and he just
Freaks out.
freaks out, runs all over the house, and does it. I mean, I kind of wanted to have you on because I'm really proud of you, and
Thanks.
I was kind of curious. We should touch on therapy too, but I'm kind of curious about how it worked. Like, when did you decide that you wanted to have your own practice, and then once you decided that, what does that look like? A lot of people listen to us, I think, because they have an idea that they want to execute, and that is something that's really powerful for me, is, empowering people to take those ideas, get them out of the idea phase and put them into reality. So I know it's a big question.
No,
but
it's a great question. And it's like, when does like from inception to reality, when does it start? And there's, I think as a person, sometimes you just are on this like linear path and you can only see, you have the blinders on and you can only see like, okay, this is now happening. And how did I get here? Right. You just turn around and you're like, wait, but now we're here and it's going and it happened. Okay, so to answer your question, I come from a family that of like business owners, and my dad was an entrepreneur, and he was a really important person for me in my life, and he passed away pretty recently, but I think he always was like encouraging me to be as, independent as I could be, right? And I've always had that spirit of like wanting to be my own boss, do my own thing, but also I think what really speaks to me about your podcast and your work as well, just to kind of bring it back, is that you want to support other people, and that's a part of your mission, and that's what I want to do as well. Is like I'm really passionate about doing things the right way,
right,
and helping people on both sides. So yes, of course, as a therapist, but also as a business owner, supporting up and coming therapists that are looking for a home to work and to practice and to feel supported.
And then it's called Pacific Coast Therapy. When did you open?
Open July.
Okay, cool. So we're pretty fresh.
It's fresh, yeah.
Really cool.
However, the clients that I have been working with, a lot of them have been with me for a few years.
Transferred over and just are with you properly.
What did it feel like the first time you sat down and did a therapy session with somebody?
I wasn't nervous at all.
It feels like a big wall to get over.
Dude, it is. It's so funny. Yeah, it's funny that you said that. My cousin is in a therapy school program right now, and I just sent him a funny meme of you're lying awake at night. This little cartoon is lying awake at night and goes into the like filing cabinet of memories and like pulls out the first session that you ever had, and then like laughs at it. So I was actually really fortunate. So I used to work at a homeless shelter. I used to work at a family homeless shelter as a paraprofessional, which is somebody that doesn't have a degree. I had a undergraduate degree in psychology, but doesn't have like the training to be a therapist.
Is that where you earn your hours?
No, it's not where I earned my hours, but I did an internship in college, and then I got a job as a family homeless shelter in San Francisco, and it was really wonderful. And I got to work with at-risk youth and their families, and I was in the children's program, and I just felt so lucky to be there, and so honored that, I could help children and teens, and it was just really fun for me, and very heavy, of course. But I think so. And then I worked in the alt-ed system when I first became a therapist, and so I sat down with like teens, and like teens are just great. I love working with teens. They're so cool. And I got to go on walks with them. I would literally just take them on walks, and we would just walk and talk. And so I didn't have the moment of like, okay, I am going to be a therapist now. It was like, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
I never had that.
A walk is such a good disarming way.
It's so disarming, but also it's just a conversation. Therapy is literally just a conversation.
Right.
But to your point, I think I was nervous to say something wrong, or to not know how to help somebody in the beginning, because you sometimes just don't, like, what was it like to open your business on the first day, right? Like, the doors are open, here we go.
Just do stuff.
That was a little bit more of a cheat code, though, I think.
Just because we had so many years of practice watching and doing with other people.
Yeah, the thing that we'd done, aside from the opening the business part, but like the opening, being there the first day wasn't as challenging as everything that led up to the process of being there. So actually being behind the counter, like when that happened, that was kind of the most normal thing ever.
That's your comfort
But the
zone.
steps in between that were a little weird. It just kind of seems with the therapy, like the higher stakes version of, let's say you're training to cut someone's hair, and you work with someone, you're an apprentice, and then at some point you fucking cut that person's hair by yourself, and you've actually never done it before. So someone is your first victim, for lack of a better term. They're like, you're going to give someone a pretty gnarly haircut, or not the best haircut. And yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the better analogy for us is kind of the first, maybe the first staff meetings, or the first orientations, or the
having to be a leader.
First time we like actually stepped in that leadership, and there was nothing above us on which we could say there's no opt out, right? It's not like, oh well, it's not us. It's like,
Just
nope,
kidding.
we're the end of the
Yeah.
line. Like,
Whatever
this
we
is it.
believe in.
There's this funny thing in therapy. There's this like joke, for beginner therapists, that you have this moment where you turn over your shoulder and you're like, oh, you're asking me, like, oh, you,
Yeah.
like, I'm the one
Yeah.
that needs to respond.
Yeah.
Me, like,
Like, son
oh,
of a
okay,
bitch.
we're doing this now. You know what? To be super honest with you, I didn't have a ton of like the imposter syndrome insecurity once I started doing it. It's all the leading up to
Yeah.
it that you're like, when you're learning about something and then you have to apply it. It puts you in this really insecure place because how do you know you're gonna be good at something you've never done?
Absolutely.
And you don't, and you just take this leap of faith where it's like, you know what? I've seen somebody run a business. I know that I could do it better. Have you seen that hierarchy of competency? The competency hierarchy?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's good. It's really good.
No,
Okay,
tell
so
me.
at the bottom, so you start with unconscious incompetency. You don't know what you don't know. You don't
Right.
know that you're incompetent. So you're unconscious. You're like, I think I could do it. I think I could open a business. I think I could do this. Like, I think I could be a therapist. Okay. And then, okay, you get to the next tier up and you're like, I am really fucking aware that I don't know anything. And so you're consciously incompetent.
Oh, I have seen this, but you're jogging my memory. This is awesome.
Yeah, like I am so I don't know anything. I am definitely an imposter. Why did I ever think I could do this? And then you have like some training wheels and you're like, okay, the next tier up is I am consciously competent. I am like, I can pedal, I'm moving forward, I'm gaining forward momentum, but like it's not on automatic yet. And then like the final tier is that you're unconsciously competent. So you can you just know it's just smooth. You're in the flow. You're just doing it and you don't have to think about it. And you're not, so that I love that kind of model because, it seems like if you were to put where you are about in yourself of running a business, right? You guys are probably at that point of just it's going. And
I would actually self-proclaim that we're probably in tier 3 with business owning and running.
So like and
then tier 4 with like doing the coffee shit.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff where people are like, how did you just like, it's happened like 5 times this week and just doing little things. They're like, whoa. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. That's what you'll get there too.
Totally.
Like weird stuff.
So
like,
you're consciously
when you were roasting
competent.
coffee or
or like I went over to the grinder and like first try I was like, that's like 19.9 grams and it was 19.8 grams and they're like, oh. And I did it like 4 times in a row and
yeah, that's
that
fun.
kind of stuff where that is like unconsciously knowing. Like I actually don't know, I just know. Like and then I just weighed it and I did know. And that shit's funny.
Yeah.
So anyway.
There's like the smallest layer that you could sandwich in between those top 2 layers, whereas the zone where you think you're consciously competent, but you're actually not yet. You're in
the dip.
Well, no, you're in that zone to where. Okay, when we went to our first barista competition, both of us had been working in the coffee industry for years at that point already.
Yeah.
We were really into making coffee.
Yeah.
We were really good at making coffee. And we both kind of showed up at this competition with the idea of, we fucking got this shit. Like, there's a good chance that we might even win.
The big fish, small pond
yeah,
problem.
Yeah, exactly. And then you show up and your eyes are fully awakened to how much you don't know. And
then, and that's like, okay, every therapist going to graduate school, like, oh, I think I could be a therapist. Then you have to unlearn everything you think you know about what therapy is. And you're like, oh, I really have no idea how to do this. And you all of a sudden are like, the small fish in the big pond.
Such a great experience.
It's being humbled is so healthy.
I hated it so much.
I'm sure you did.
I was so mad. I was like, fuck this. I'm good, I swear.
It does give you so many clear things to work on, though, and I do appreciate that, right? Because I do need, like, as a ADHD person, we had Nick on. It was so when he was like, "Look, I need to know the parameters. Like, I need to know what I need. Like, I need to know certain things so that I can like systematize them and work on them." And so for me, it's really helpful to know specifically what's going on, not like symptomatically what's going on. You know, like, oh, you're not doing this. You suck. It's like, no, this isn't happening. And this is like the deep reason for it. I'm like, oh, that makes a lot. I can work on that.
Yeah.
I can't work on like you want me to put that down right there every time, like that thing? Yeah. And it might be like a couple inches off in the salt shaker, right? Or something like that. That's not terribly important to the big picture for me, so I don't understand, but I'll put it there. I know I'm not doing it perfect, but why does that matter? Oh, tell me the deeper reason why that matters, and then
the systemic issues, right? Like when
Yeah.
you, again, like when you like look under the belly of the beast and you're like, oh, there, okay, got it. Like
Yeah.
there's these
Thank you.
issues going on here that you can't see on the surface, and there's
Right.
no way you could see it. Yeah.
Right, and those are the things, just to go back to competition, it's like, I lived in a small town, and I was getting, you're the best by far. This is awesome. You're killing it. And you go in there, and I'm like, literally one of the people, in my naivety and also immaturity, they're like, what's the hardest thing about being a barista? And in my shop, I was like, the only thing I know is what I know in my shop. And I was like, I am tenfold better than anybody else at this. I can do it by myself. I was like, nothing. And I got last place at the competition.
Yeah.
But and some people in the audience laughed at me, and I was like, it was a genuine response because I didn't know what I didn't know at all, and it was weird because I was totally answering honestly. I wasn't even trying to be like an arrogant asshole. I was just like, I cannot think of one thing that's hard about what I know about being a barista right now. It's so amazing.
That was so cool.
And then went straight into a train wreck that was funny.
It was good to watch.
It was
I'm sure it was not in the moment, but yeah.
No. It was actually, I was shaking and very nervous.
It was
but
funny
Yeah,
for
yeah,
everybody
that's
else
what
watching.
I knew I was train wrecking,
was a good
and I made
vibe.
it fun and funny.
I was like, that
I
guy's
owned the funniness
hilarious.
and
So
the failure.
you had to figure out how to cope in that situation,
absolutely.
and just like not have to humiliate yourself, even though it was
So I
humiliating.
flipped it on the audience. I flipped it on the MC.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
did the whole classic like
Class clown.
class clown vibe. I was like,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing.
That was I think that was what was so attractive to you, for me, or about you. I was like, that dude's just rolling with it.
He can just do it.
I was like, if I was up there, it'd be a full-blown nightmare, but he's just going. He's just smiling.
That's what I had to learn. It's because I was never taught, right?
Well, you had to figure out how to do that, probably,
much
especially
everything.
with ADHD and feeling like you couldn't focus on things. You have to adapt and find things that work for you to get your needs met.
All coping.
Yeah, all coping.
And then the other part with all that is just, I grew up in a place where if you took that medication, that something was wrong with you too. It was like reinforced. So I actually avoided taking it forever.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. And had tons of weird shame about it. I was like, well, maybe I just need to take it for a little while till I get better. And finally I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Take ADHD medication. But that's like 2 years old of me feeling properly confident and just taking it consistently.
Yeah.
Which is so like, there's nothing wrong with that, people, by the way. There's literally nothing wrong. It's like, if you need vitamin C because you don't eat enough stuff, take vitamin C. Like, eat some oranges, whatever. Like, it isn't that hard.
Well, and I always encourage people to like ask questions, like I think medication is really stigmatized and scary when you look up online all of the things that could go wrong and like the things that, the blogosphere is saying about how you're wrong, and there's all these things put on you, these projections.
Meth?
Yeah, right.
They do that a lot. You're just taking meth.
I'm just upped my meth dose today. Yeah.
That's so funny.
No. But like ask your doctor, right? Like ask the people in your life that can, really give you the proper information that's not online.
Can give you your best meth.
I just picture her asking, how's Jared doing? He's on meth.
It's like,
Life's pretty hard. He's just...
I got him to stop taking his meth because it's addicting.
Yeah, life's
But now
easy
he's
for
crazy.
you. Your business partner's not on meth. Of course you're doing well.
You know what? He has to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be on slow release meth all day. Hey, I'm better for it. I can articulate better now. Thank you.
We
Thank you very
love
much.
meth, Jared.
You love meth.
So how is a couple months into it now,
Yeah.
maybe? How has your life changed since you've decided to strike out on your own and create this entity?
Such a good question. My life I feel so much more like in the driver's seat. And it's interesting because as a therapist, you always have that, you're in the driver's seat with your clients. I kind of sometimes even think I'm in the passenger seat. I'm riding shotgun on their journey, right? But I feel like I'm in the driver's seat of what I've always wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to be a therapist when I was like 13.
That's cool.
It's really young.
Lucky.
And I knew, at the time, I didn't know, and this kind of digresses, but I will bring it back.
Take your time.
But I I will say that I had a therapist tell me that she was like, I think you're gonna be a therapist when you grow up, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do school because I hated school, and I was just not inspired academically. Nothing really like grabbed me. And so then I was like, well, I kind of want the easy way out. So maybe I'll like, go to community college, putter around, just figure out what I want to do. And then I got my esthetician's license and lived in San Francisco. And then I was like, you know what? I think I still really got to do this therapy thing. So I went back to school, finished undergrad, did a bunch of stuff and figured out how to get myself into graduate school, went to graduate school, did all the, 3,000 hours. Took me quite a long time. COVID hit. Had a baby, did all that. But now that I am working for myself, I kind of look back at this journey that I've gone through to get me here, and it's so meaningful. And it's so like it really, I feel a lot of pride in what I've gone through to get to this point. And I think the future seems so bright. I have so much hope for how many people that I can help that come through the door, right? And that call me and want support and the practice and hiring therapists and hiring really amazing people to help other people.
Right.
And just the ripple effect that can have in a community, and it makes me so hopeful. So
what does it look like for you to create an experience? So, we talk about creating experiences all the time for people who walk through our doors. It sounds like you're doing a lot of the work on telehealth right now, but you have a physical space.
I do.
What is
almost 2 offices?
Hey,
seriously?
I know. I'm getting another
Poppin'
office.
deuces, dude.
I know.
How would it be different to come through your practice versus someone else's, or places you've been to in the past?
I think you can't go wrong. Like, there's so much help out there that if you're somebody that's going to come to my practice, I will make sure I do 2 assessments if I'm seeing a teen or somebody or a couple. I always make sure there's enough of an assessment so that I can make the most appropriate recommendation. And all an assessment is kind of a maybe a charged word, but it's really me getting a full idea of what somebody's coming in with and what somebody's needs are, and what do you need for your treatment and your therapy and your journey. And I am either definitely the person for that, or I can make these recommendations of what we can do, how many sessions I think you're going to need. And I kind of lay it out, and I give you here's what we think, do you agree with this? Help me help you. Right. And, oftentimes people are really receptive to that. People really want help when they're finally coming to therapy. It's been a long time overdue. And so people are really excited to like hit the ground running. And then it's like, oh, okay, we have to pump the brakes. We have to really slow down, and this can take a minute, and that's okay, right? It's a journey for sure. I see, Jared. I see your face.
Keeps going.
It keeps going, but there is kind of a point. I think there's this really nice sweet spot at like 3 months in. If somebody's been doing the work on themselves for like 3 months, they've really invested in themselves. You see this shift. And I don't know if you can relate to that as maybe somebody who's like been through it, but it's this really nice, if you give that time, then you can see, okay, I definitely need this weekly support, or like, oh, I can go to every other week or monthly. But everybody's got stuff to work on. Even if you're doing really well, that's the time to come in. If you're doing really well and life is going good, sometimes that's the perfect time to like, okay, I can look at my childhood now because I have the capacity to. But people come to therapy when they're in crisis. Yeah. People come to therapy when the shit is hitting the fan and things gotta like, I need help now. And then it's this, it's this journey and process just to get to the work of your trauma and that kind of looking under the hood of what is going on, because you're just doing this weekly support that people need. And there's a time and a place for that, right? Like processing and unpacking somebody's childhood and what somebody's been through in their life. That is, some people aren't sometimes always ready for that when they first get to therapy. We have to address the here and now. What's going on for you? What's the crisis in the moment that's bringing you in? And then we get to the meaty stuff later.
Oh, that totally makes sense. I imagine, a lot of people, I mean, even like myself, like I don't even remember, like the specific reason I ended up going in the first place. I think, just had to do tying in with all sorts of different things. But at the end of the day, you're right. Like going when it was like feeling bad means kind of shotgunning a therapist, and they're going like, oh, where do I start? And what are you really here for that's underneath or behind that shotgun, like made that shotgun blast explode potentially?
Well, I'll name it. I'll say like, okay, so it sounds like there was a lot from the past that we could definitely go through, because I have a big like kind of checklist in my head. I mean, you could go through, a lot of therapists will like go through a checklist of things, and I'll have people fill out stuff, but I'll know kind of going in, okay, where, how much is this childhood stuff, how much of this was trauma stuff, or how much of this is right now, like how much of your depression is being impacted, over the course of the pandemic, right? Like by how much your life has changed. And it is not normal to be stuck in a home with your partner, your family, day in, day out. That is not something that couples are prepared for. That's not something that families were prepared for. And then having to work on top of that, or to be home and waiting for a stimulus check, that was really, really stressful.
Yeah.
Or to be a teen going through like not being able to see their friends, which,
Nightmare.
that social emotional development is like key at that point. So yeah, the past year and a half it's definitely been pretty interesting in regards to therapy and what people are coming in with, where it's like triggered a bunch of stuff from the past, right? So
does it really?
Really?
Do you have I don't know if you'd call them employees or partners? How does that work?
So I am going to be having, hopefully by the end of the year, 1 or 2 therapists join me.
That's awesome.
Pretty exciting.
How does that dichotomy work when you are all therapists, but it's your practice? I mean, there's, to me, the obvious part where like, this is mine and I get to hire you to be here because we theoretically have aligned values of some kind. But like beyond that, are you theoretically like peers, or are you bringing in people to mentor? Like, how's that work?
So it can be both. It can be like up and coming therapists, or it can be therapists that have something else on the side. The great kind of like, one of the perks of this field is that you can do multiple things. So you could like be in academia, you could be in, a supervisory role, you could be a business owner, and a therapist. You can work at, a different program, but also have a private practice on the side. And so a lot of people, like, they don't want to market themselves. They don't want to have to, be fielding phone calls and responding to emails. And they just want their, I see my clients, I show up, I see my clients, and then I leave. Or I, sign out. Now that we're talking about telehealth, I click on and then I click off. And then the group practice can provide cool things like training opportunities and an office space, and you don't have to worry about paying the office space. Like the group practice can cover that. But then you don't have to worry about like taking payment, and the practice handles all of that, and you don't receive the full amount, but it's still enough that you feel like the work is really great and you have your practice, but you don't have to do all the behind the scenes business side of it.
Yeah, that's actually really helpful.
Let me worry about that. I'll do the business.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that's where that absolutely helps, because to me, I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, it feels like once you're to a theoretical level, with the exception of maybe years in, that you're kind of all peers with the same,
And that's something beautiful too about the field, is that I love working with awesome therapists. I love working with therapists. I mean, you can, only imagine I could talk about therapy all day long.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I'm constantly learning. And at the same time, I have this really strong clinical foundation that is what I think you asked, like, what do I offer? Like clinically, super strong. If you're trying to figure out what your diagnosis is, if you're trying to figure out what you need, and I get the people oftentimes that have been to like 10 therapists.
Got it.
right? And they're like, I have been referred to you because I've heard that you can help me figure out what's going on. So
That's awesome.
You're so open and you're so focused on the outcome, which the outcome is helping people, I don't know what you would like, how you would roll it into a mission statement or something, or like whatever's going to help people, that's great. And it doesn't have to be my way. It could be somebody else's way. It could be that way. And I think that's something that I just wanted a little learning lesson. I just wanted to kind of bottle it up and just package it and put it out there. That perspective is amazing, because you're kind of removing the ego from your work to where it's like, my practice isn't about me, and we see that in our stores. Like, it's not about us, it's about the guests, and it's not about myself, it's about the organization. And I think for a lot of people, that could make their work life or projects just so much more enjoyable, but also open to a little bit more creativity. Because once, I know for me in the past, like when my ego has gotten in the way, those are the times when I get in my biggest ruts. The times when I've had it all figured out are the times when I do my worst work and I feel the least creative, because there's, everything is known at that point and there's no growing to be had.
Well, and our stuck points, everybody gets stuck in the same things that we get stuck in, right? Like our patterns repeat themselves. And so thank you for saying that. But also, I really think that my approach is that I am going to help you get whatever you need. And who am I to get in the way of your recovery or anything, right? Like, anybody coming in to talk to me, I want to make sure that I am providing the absolute best care that I can. And if I'm not the right person, I'm going to find that person for you. If I am the right person, I will do everything in my power to help you. And if there's something that I can change or adapt or know more about or whatever, please tell me. Because I want what's in your best interest.
Right.
And therapy at the end of the day is just this is the container for real life.
That's awesome. That's strong in and of itself, right? Because that's really helpful. Cool.
So clinically, that's my
I'm a powerhouse. Just throwing it out there.
It's badass.
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence and perfection.
And I'll diagnose you.
Hey everyone, that's the podcast for the week. Thanks so much for listening. If you heard something that inspired you, let us know, or tell a friend. These are the types of connections that are the most important to us and that we seek to create every day. If there's something you heard and you want to know more about, send us an email to podcast@catandcloud.com or head to our website, catandcloud.com/podcast, and let us know. While you're on our site, check out everything we have to offer. Dive deep into one of our single origin coffees or pick up a little treat for yourself. We have something for everyone, so check it out. Also, find us in the usual places: YouTube, Instagram. We're always there sharing amazing things. All right, that's it. Thanks everyone for being awesome. We'll be back next week.